Hello and welcome to what I hope will be a short video as I go through the rules for Deadlands Weird West duels and try to work out how to make them work with the current rule set. At this time, Deadlands Weird West rule set for Fantasy Grounds has not been released, and thus anything I try to work out may be redundant when the rule set finally comes out. But as I'm running a game before the end of the month, I need to work out a way how to do it right now with the current tools I have. The original Deadlands rule set for Fantasy Grounds had a dedicated poker table, but that tool no longer works very well. In fact, NPCs apparently can no longer be added to it, and Fantasy Grounds Unity has further complications with it. In fact, talking of Fantasy Grounds Unity, this is the first video I've made with Fantasy Grounds Unity, other than the streaming of the live games, since its official release last year, and I'm still finding things a little different and they catch me out from time to time. But after all, I did use Fantasy Grounds Classic for 15 years, so if I make any interesting mistakes, we'll see what happens. But okay, let's take a look at the rules. So I've got a nice little shortcut down here for the Deadlands Weird West rules. So okay, so duels, blah 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 blah. So first, okay, so duels are conducted in the last way exactly 3 rounds. Okay, before the start of the round, give each duelist a whole card face down. Don't let your rival sit. Well, that will be the first problem, because the only way to do this will be using the combat tracker, and short of not showing the NPC, which you could do. Yeah, that's true. Okay. But I also want to use the fast tests extension, so I probably don't have that luxury. Okay, so on the first round and second round they stand. Okay, so let's open up the combat tracker, see what we've got. So I can see I've been trying around playing with stuff earlier. So here's our combat tracker. So our gunslinger is standing out at high noon, with facing off cowboy veteran. Okay, we might need that, so let's save that. So the first thing we do is obviously we would start a new round, which will deal them both a card. Now, as it stands, the gunslinger isn't visible, so yeah, you could do it that way. In fact, actually, yes, you could. So I would actually leave the NPCs hidden so the players couldn't see them. Okay, so the cowboy veteran must have an edge that gives him 2 cards, which is a bit of a problem because he's only meant to get 1, but that's not the end of the world. So if we click on show cards, okay, now, so obviously we'll just have to say that he's got his 2 cards for the card for this round and the card for the second round. Now the gunslinger, this is basically the archetype gunslinger. He has the duelist edge. So let's see what that says. The duelist edge says you receive 2 extra hold cards at the start of the throwdown. So therefore we'll give him 2 extra cards. At the moment he's still on the queen. Okay. So then we'll say that the so we're going to say, whoops, that's the wrong targeting. See, I'm still getting used to this. Turn on targeting. So the cowboy is going to target the gunslinger, and the gunslinger is going to target the cowboy. Right. So what we're going to have is we'll open up the cowboy's thing, and the cowboy is going to say something like along the lines of, "You low down, tooting, rooting, so and so. I'm going to bury you in the dirt," and tries to intimidate. Okay, so, oh, it worked. So, I'm using this extension called Fast, what's it called? Fast Tests. So basically there, because I didn't use a combat dice, but I've targeted someone, as soon as I made the intimidation roll, the extension determines that the cowboy was testing the character, and obviously he got a 5 on the intimidation, and the player only got a 3, so as you can see how I can make him distracted or vulnerable. But I think we're going to say the player's got a Benny, so can I drop that on there? Yes. No, it just awards a Benny. But I can say, for argument's sake, the players are playing a Benny, and he's going to roll the dice again. He's going to get a 5. Okay, so there's no effect there. Okay, so then we'll move down to the gunslinger, and I'll have to open up his character sheet. And the gunslinger, he's not that intimidating, but he's good on the taunt, so he's going to taunt back. Okay, so what do we get here? And no effect. So that was the end of the first round of standing there and testing each other. So obviously now I'm going to move it back to the gunslinger. I'm not using the round counters here because I don't want it dealing any cards. The gunslinger's already got, sorry, the cowboy's already got his whole card, I should say, not the gunslinger. But the gunslinger gets an extra whole card. Okay, things aren't looking good for the player at this time. So, okay, well this time the cowboy's going to try taunting the gunslinger and get a 3, which doesn't do anything. And then we'll come back to the gunslinger, and he thinks up a particularly juicy taunt, so we're going to do an extra taunt here. This looks promising. Okay. So, 9 versus 1. So, yeah. Now, first things first, obviously, this extension is using the standard test rules, and obviously, when you get a raise, you shake. But that won't be what we want to happen here, because you can't be shaken in a duel. So Gunslinger decides he's going to make the cowboy veteran distracted. Okay, and we'll apply that, and we shall turn off the shaken status. Okay, so we're on to the third round. The start of the third round, we don't deal action cards to the duelist. So at this point, obviously, the player would double click on his best card, which obviously the Fancy Grounds will do for me anyway. And then we would reveal. So then I suppose what I would do is I would then go like so, and that would show the combat tracker to everyone. Then we'll start the combat. So obviously the gunslinger gets to go, the cowboy veteran, it would help if I got the names the right way around. The cowboy veteran gets to go first, and he's not gonna try and do anything clever like hold off and wait for the gunslinger to draw or anything like that. He's just gonna shoot him. So on a 6 he hits, and he's going to do 7 points of damage, which would shake the gunslinger. That could be interesting. Then it comes to the gunslinger, who will automatically unshake, I would determine, because it's a normal round of combat, so he's completely fine. And he is going to far back. Now he's actually got 2 guns, so it doesn't say he can't use both. However, he's also got the Marksman's Edge, but there's no penalties he can use it for. So we're just going to say he's going to draw 1 and shoot. So he's going to draw 1 and he's going to shoot back. Now, if I show cards again, there's something about extra damage, isn't there? If the attacker has 1 or more additional whole cards higher than his foe's action card, he adds a single d6. Well, that's easy enough in this. That would be easy enough in this case, because he hit but didn't get a raise. But what I can do is manually turn on the damage dice, which would give him the extra dice. However, he's got 2 cards more, so he's technically supposed to use 2 extra damage. So you could just obviously roll another dice and add it on, but I do know that if you do extra : damage equals 2d, 2d being d6, as in the second dice, that's 1d, 2d, 3d, 4d. Unfortunately, I haven't worked out a way to get more than 1 extra dice, but anyway, so if we turn on the raise dice, even though it's not a raise, and we put that effect in there, when he rolls for damage, he should get the extra dice there, and it should still roll the raised dice for damage. And it's frozen. I don't think it picked it up on the... Oh, there it goes. Oh, all the dice exploded. My word, this is going to be a lot of damage. Okay, so 4d6 plus 2, which would be right. Yep. So that's 31 points of damage. 6 wounds. I don't think the cowboy's going to soak that. No, so he's going to be taking a dirt nap. Okay, right, so that seems to work fairly well. So I think the trick is, as we say, is obviously you put an NPC in, you don't make it visible, and worst case, you're just going to have to sort of roll extra damage by just dragging the damage die up and doing some sums. But perfectly workable workaround, I think. Be more of a problem if you had 2 players facing off, because they would see each other's best card. But, well, them's the breaks, I suppose. Well, I hope that was helpful. I will probably be running, as I say, before the end of the month, I'll be running a Deadlands Weird West game. And I I will make sure there's a duel in it somewhere, so we'll see how it goes. Thank you very much. Goodbye now.